The Doppler effect is defined as an increase or decrease in the frequency of sound, light, or other waves as the source and observer move toward or away from each other. Say you have an object that is emitting waves. It could be anything. The Doppler effect occurs when these things move. When an object moves towards the stationary observer, the waves around it begin to compress. And when an object moves away from a stationary observer, the waves around it begin to spread out. The Doppler effect was discovered in 1803 by Austrian physicist Christian Doppler, and it can be applied to all types of waves. It may be best explained by example. Say that you are standing in the middle of a road as a car drives by and honks its horn. To you, it may sound something like this. However, from the perspective of the driver, the pitch sounds the same the entire time. If we look at a sound wave, the highest point is called a crest, and the distance between two crests is called a wavelength. The shorter the wavelength, the higher the frequency. Frequency is measured as the number of waves that pass a given point per second, and it is measured in a unit called hertz. The higher the frequency, the higher the pitch, and the lower the frequency, the lower the pitch. For example, musical notes. A high-frequency sound would be known as a high-pitched note and would sound something like this, while a low-frequency sound would be known as a low note and sound something like this. Going back to the example with the car, as the car approaches you, the wavelengths begin to compress to a higher frequency and therefore a higher pitch, and as it moves away from you, the opposite effect occurs, and the wavelengths begin to spread out, creating a lower pitch and a lower frequency. The Doppler effect has many real-world applications. For example, it can be used by police to determine the velocity of ongoing vehicles. It can also be used by meteorologists to predict storms and weather conditions. It can even be used by astronomers to determine whether objects in space are moving towards or away from Earth. When astronomers look through a telescope at objects in space, they may notice a red or blue shift in light. This is because when objects are moving away from us, light waves spread out to the lower frequency red side of the spectrum, and when they're moving towards us, they compress to the higher frequency blue side of the spectrum. This helps scientists to know when hazardous objects are coming towards Earth and helps them to understand that the universe is constantly expanding.